Welcome to the most mysterious, puzzling top 10 you'll be facing today. Hopefully, the top 10 best anime locker room mystery that also goes by the slang of whodunit. My name is Misty /Chronexia, and if you're not familiar with this highly niche, highly fun type of mystery, maybe today's your lucky day to get hooked on. The principle is generally the following. You have a party of people that are stranded in a secluded area. A mansion, a scientific lab, an island, name it. A crime has happened, and it's up to you, the viewer, and generally the main protagonist of the show, to discover who was the one behind said crime. These next entries won't all be locker room settings, but they will all be geared with the purpose of figuring out who the bad guy is, the final boss, if you will. Pick up your magnifying glasses, your pipe, and your plaid hat. We're going in. Oh, by the way, I'll be using this symbol during the video. If you see it pop up, it means I have figured out the solution of the enemy. If you see this one instead, it means it has eluded me. Maybe use it as a rough indicator of how challenging the whodunits are. Number 10, starting off strong with the detective anime, all of them. Detective Conan, Kendaichi's Case File, Go Sick, or Detective Academy Q. I'm starting this list off with detective anime for two reasons. Number one, in the off case people have no interest in the actual detective aspect, it would be kinda dickish to litter the list with like 5 different entries. Secondly, not all cases are whodunits, and even less of them are locker room mystery. However, there are some of the best ones scattered throughout the show. Detective Conan is notorious for being the biggest detective anime ever made. With almost 1,000 episodes, there's definitely a bunch to catch you off guard. But if you're not ready for such a big commitment, yet you still want clever puzzle, I still recommend Go Sick, Kendaichi's Case File, or my personal favorite, Detective Academy Q. Q is really newcomer friendly, yet remains challenging, all for the right reason, and they have a lot of locker room mystery to solve, that are all very fun to tackle. Number 9, The Perfect Insider. Perfect Insider is your traditional locker room murder mystery. Right off the bat, it gives you all the hints you need, as well as several red herrings. Nothing is weighted out, and you truly get the experience of a solid mystery. The characters can be hard to attach yourself to, and the pacing can be erratic by moments, which is what I think sets the show back the most. However, the ambience and the cleverness still manage to carry the anime on its shoulder with ease. I don't recommend this anime as your first toe dipping in the genre. I think number 10, number 6, number 4, or number 1 would be more fitting for newcomers who want a solid challenge, but if you're well versed in locker room mystery, this one might give you something to sink your teeth in. Number 8, Another. Another is a horror anime. A very gory one at that. If you're weak in the knees, I suggest skipping this one. The mystery whodunit part is kinda hard, as in they don't really leave you any hints to figure it out, and by the time you learn the answer, you can finally piece it together, but it's already too late at that point. The answer is given out. The anime is incredible besides that. I mean, if Final Destination had an anime counterpart, this would be it. The student meets creative death. Some are rescued from their incoming doom, and most aren't. So I guess another thing to figure out is whether a character is gonna get it or not. Overall, it's probably one of the most iconic horror anime we have, but yeah, not for the faint of heart or for those who uses umbrellas. Number 7, Erased. Erased is a really good anime. The plot is about a guy who managed to butterfly effect himself back to his childhood, and he tries his best to prevent an abduction from happening with his knowledge of the future, yet he's a kid that no one takes seriously. Of course, the mystery becomes finding out who the bad guy is, and while the difficulty of that puzzle in my personal case was more of the mild side, to not say obvious, I still recommend the show as a whole for its compelling story. The whodunit aspect is kind of a subplot in this anime rather than a final goal, but if you don't mind that, you should have a great time regardless. The locker room aspect is kind of metaphorical in this one, as the main character is locked in that time period, but I still count it because you're not here to stop me from doing so. Number 6. Persona 4. Persona 4 is an anime based on the game of the same name, and before I can recommend you to watch the show, I must clerically insist that you play the game over watching the anime. But if you don't have a PS2, or God forbid a PS Vita, because I think they made 4 of those, or don't have 120 hours to put on a game because unlike me, you have a life, then the anime is still a decent portrayal of the story, albeit a tiny bit more rushed. That being said, the story was really fun and challenging. The plot begins when the main character moves into his uncle's town and the mysterious events related to the weather that starts happening. Again, you have to find the murderer, and the locker room aspect is kind of metaphorical with the fact the main character is limited to that town only. I'm using the term loosely, but it gives you a really fun mystery in exchange, so bite the bullet on this one. Number 5. Pataki Nakano Joe. Not much locker room scenario going on in this one, but a definite fun whodunit case. Pataki Nakano Joe is a really too short honestly, 2 episodes anime, and both episodes are 2 separate cases. But the first one is a dark delight. You have people dying and a murderer on the run. The delinquent must team up with a very odd girl to try and solve the elusive dickbag that goes around killing students. This is an anime that's kind of unknown, and it is also pretty likely the majority of people have never tried it. I think the difficulty is challenging without being too hard. It's a quite fair mystery, so I highly recommend this one for people who want a one and done thing going on. Number 4. Kanata no Astra. Oh boy, do I love this one right now. Astra Lost in Space is one of the hottest anime of the season. With only 1 episode left on the counter, it's fair to give it the recognition it deserves. Astra Lost in Space follows a group of students who get stranded on a planet and a wormhole spit them out in space. Through sheer luck, they find a spaceship and they try to make their way back home. But the murderer who tried to wormhole them in space is one of the members of the crew. So not your typical locker room, but they are stuck in a spaceship, which is an equivalent setting to fit the list. Not incredibly hard to solve, I did figure it out, but they do an amazing job of shifting the blame around to scramble the cards, so maybe not everyone's gonna see it. Add to this a jaw-dropping plot twist, this anime made its way to the top of the summer lineup for me, and I hope you can give it a chance cause it is so good! Number 3. Mineko no Nakukoro ni. Mineko is part of the Higurashi franchise, or rather universe. The plot begins with a family meeting up on a deserted island to decide on an inheritance, but a typhoon strands them and they are a series of murder that begins to happen. I would recommend watching the original Higurashi and Higurashi Kai before tackling on Mineko, although that's not obligatory. Of course, like Astra Lost in Space, the locker room aspect is the island and not literally a room, but it stands to be a very intricate puzzle for people to solve. I don't think it is particularly tricky to solve, but it did fool me. In my defense, I saw this anime about 10 years ago when I wasn't too savvy with storytelling and hints would get by me more easily. There's no telling if I could get it now if I watched it with fresh eyes, but yeah, take it as you must. Number 2. Mawaru Penguin Drum. This one is a lot less traditional. While this anime came off as a comedy at first, it is one of the craziest mystery drama to date. Once again, not your typical locker room mystery, but there's enough guessing game and careful planning involved in the story that it would be a shame to not at least mention it. The story follows 3 siblings, 2 brothers and a 6th sister. On one day, she's allowed to leave the hospital and they go to an aquarium for a fun tour. Her illness takes a bad turn and she's revived by a penguin hat. Look, I can't tell you more without getting into some pretty massive spoilers, so please take my word for it. Go into this anime as blind as you can and just let it happen, like someone slipped a pill in your drink. If you want something that's a little bit different from the rest of this list had to offer, I highly want to praise this one for being absolutely different and a fun time. And finally, number 1, the most obvious choice belongs to Danganronpa. I think this is an absolute given. Again, just like Persona 4, it would be imperative you play the game first for the ultimate experience, and you can actually get the game on Steam. I think the first one's like $20 or less if you get it on sale. But if you're poor or don't care for games, the anime can do the trick too. I mean, I just watched the anime and I had such an awesome time that it got me interested into playing the other games. Point is, this is probably the purest form of whodunit locker room mystery. While several individual cases can be solved, the big finale will catch you off guard, most likely. You have 15 students locked in a school, figure it out. This anime is incredibly masterful in misdirection, and for me, it's something I welcome wholeheartedly every time. So here's 10 puzzles for you to tease your mind about. They all have various difficulty level. I clearly haven't put them in order of difficulty, but probably in order of how enjoyable they were for me to figure out. With the detective bunch at the end, I took extra care to avoid ruining them with my description and the visuals so you can enjoy them on your own, but I do recommend you to be cautious if you go and read the comments down below. But if you do like locker room murder mystery and have unfortunately seen everything on this list, if you don't mind additional media, I think you should give a chance to the manga called Doubt by Yoshiki Tonogai, or the famous novel by Agatha Christie from 1939 called, excuse me the use of the term, 10 Little Niggas. If you don't care for the locker room setup, but you love a good whodunit, I would also like to include my own novel, Chronexia and the 8 Seals. I don't usually promote it like that, but I was told by a lot of readers that the mystery aspect was quite compelling. So if you're interested, links in the description down below. It's available both in French and English. Otherwise, no hard feelings. Thank you for watching this episode, and I hope I'll catch you guys next time.
Hard times, I've been on the wrong side, I've been ashamed. So many memories, you know I'd like to change.